Alright, what is up everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, I'm going to be reacting to every game one. The playoffs are finally here. They have started. Every series has been one game played. I'm going to analyze and talk about it here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. We upset a lot. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, getting closer and closer as the days go on. So all support around the channel, we very much appreciate it. Links to my Twitter and all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So we're gonna go in order of the games played. For start with Indiana, Milwaukee. Game one, the Pacers end up winning this game 117-98. They have a big second quarter where they just exploded. You know, everybody scored. Mathurin got to the free throw line a lot. Andrew Nembhard had 7 points. Halliburton had 6. The Bucks just could not really find a rhythm at all. The fourth quarter, the Bucks tried. Fourth quarter, the Bucks made it a little interesting. Made it like a 9-point game. At some point, AJ Green hit a couple shots. But at the end of the day, they just could not get it done. And the Pacers take game one at home. Things I saw in this one for the Pacers, just really the all-around effort of this game. I feel like the game really switched for them for Indiana in the second quarter, where their defense really started to, come together, and their defense really started balling out. They started, being active all around everywhere. The defense on Giannis kind of switched, where they turned Giannis into just like a scorer. They're like, you know what? We're just gonna turn Giannis. So you're gonna have to go 1-on-1 every time, and we're also gonna double you. We're gonna double. It's either we're gonna double Giannis and get the ball in his hands quick, or we're just gonna let Giannis get to the rim and foul him, because we're not gonna let Giannis have those. At the end of the year, Giannis averaged like 8-9 assists per game, and so we're not gonna do that, because if Giannis gets everybody involved, we're in trouble. So we're just gonna force Giannis to either giving the ball up early and having them play 4-on-3 with their guys, or we're gonna let Giannis score, and get to the free throw line and stuff. And it worked. I mean, the Bucks role players did not do much, but for Indiana, great game for them. Pascal gave you 25 and 7. Miles Turner was huge in this game on both ends. 19 points. He had a big 3 in the fourth quarter. 4 blocks. Andrew Nembhard. I really love what Andrew Nembhard did out there. Just the aggressiveness. He was only getting to the bucket. He only took 3 threes in this game. He was 8 for 13 from the field. 17, 4, and 5. I love what he was doing. He was just getting to the rim. Bodying Brook Lopez, getting him out the way, getting easy layups. And I guess playoff Nembhard might be a thing now. Bennett Mathurin gave you 13. TJ McConnell gave you 11 and 5 assists off the bench. 12 assists for Tyrese, even though he only shot 3 for 13. He was 0 for 7 from 3. He was, playmaking like he did. And for Milwaukee, it was a struggle for Milwaukee. I mean, Giannis did his thing, 36 and 12. Shot 14 for 23. Did have 5 turnovers in this game. And just the lack of depth from the Bucks really showed in this game. Coming into this series, when I was previewing the series, it really was a battle between, the Bucks having the best player in the series, but the Pacers having the better overall team in the series. And I was thinking who is going to kind of win that battle. And game one, it went to Indiana, because the Bucks role players were exponentially bad. During my preview, I picked the Milwaukee Bucks to win this series. I'm not really like super tied into my prediction, so if the Bucks don't win, I'm not going to be mad at all. Like, I just want to see good basketball. I don't really care who wins. But for the Bucks, I was like, the Bucks role players don't have to be superpower, like supernova. They just have to be okay. Just do what they usually do, and I think they're good enough with Giannis doing what he did. The problem is the Bucks role players were worse than expected. I mean, the rest of the start, besides Giannis, the other 4 starters, and Rollins, Prince, Kuzma, and Lopez combined for 14 points. They shot 5 for, I think, 21? 5 for 21 from the field. Let's see, 11, 12, 5 for 20. They shot 5 for 20 from the field. They were 1 for 9 from 3 and had 6 fouls compared to 2 turnovers, 6 assists. It was bad. Really bad. I mean, Brook Lopez gave you 9 and 4 on 3 for 6. Didn't make a 3 in this game. Wasn't really aggressive. Only took 6 shots. Ron Rollins, 5 points. He started off good in the first quarter. After that, didn't really do much afterwards. Torian Prince took 1 shot. I think it was like the third quarter of this game. He took 1 3, had 2 rebounds, and then Kyle Kuzma with the infamous 0 game. Kyle Kuzma, 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 0 for 5 in 21 minutes. And he was exponentially bad in this game. I mean, not really shooting the ball when he should have, not contributing anything else on the court. He was just 21 minutes of cardio is what Kyle Kuzma did. And that's just unacceptable. in this series, especially for a guy like Kyle Kuzma, who they traded Chris Middleton for you. They brought you in for these type of situations, and you just can't. That's just unacceptable. It really is unacceptable. And the rest of the role players did not do much. The bench tried. I mean, AJ Green hit 5 threes. Gary Trent hit a couple shots in the fourth quarter. Ken Porter Jr. was being aggressive at least and getting to the free throw line. But yeah, Bobby Porter's 2 for 8, 0 for 4 from three. It was bad. It legit felt like a 1-on-5 every time Giannis came down the court, because it was just felt like if the ball wasn't in Giannis' hands and Giannis wasn't making everything happen, the Bucks had no chance of doing anything on any offensive possession. It really did just feel like a 1-on-5, and Giannis was just doing everything by himself. And they can't win a series like that. You cannot win a series like that. Obviously, we understand the Pacers role players are better than the Bucks role players. We saw it in Game 1, where for the Pacers, it was Nembhard had some moments, Miles Turner had some moments, Aaron Nesmith at least hit some shots, Bennedict Mather came off the bench and got to the free throw line, TJ McConnell scored and facilitated, Jarace Walker hit a 3, Obi Toppin hit a 3, Thomas Bryant hit a 3 and got to the free throw line. Like, everybody contributed at least a little bit of something to the table for Indiana. For the Bucks, you just didn't have that. And when you have a superstar like Giannis, you know how Giannis is going to cover up so much in the series. Giannis is going to do so much in the series. He's probably going to have a big series because no one on the Pacers can really guard him. The only way they guard him is sending him to the free throw line where he's 8 for 15. So like the Bucks just need something. Like Kuzma you just can't have 0. You just can't have 0 points. You can't go 0 for 1, Torian Prince. Like, just can't have that happen. The defense also was not great at all. Especially in the interior. I feel like the Pacers were just getting by their man and getting to the rim whenever they wanted. Also helping out with Miles Turner, pulling Brook Lopez out of the paint, really helps out a lot. But yeah, it was the Bucks got to go back to the drawing board because it was a very bad Game 1. Obviously, with all these series, there's only one game. It's only one game. They come back. Game 2 could be completely different. That's why we're overreacting to Game 1 because it's funny. Because Game 2 is usually, things shift a little bit. But yeah, also we get the report that Dame might be coming back Game 2 or Game 3, which is desperately needed because the Bucks need at least somebody else that can do something on the court, really. And Dame Lillard is that guy. We know what Dame Lillard can do. Even if he's not 100% of Dame, at least having Dame out there on the court alleviates pressure because the name and the person of Dame Lillard at least is going to attract a lot of attention. And being another guy that can hit some shots, have a 35-point game is going to help do so much wonders for the Bucks. So they're going to need him desperately back bad. If he doesn't come back for Game 2 and he comes back for Game 3, the Bucks are going to need all hands on deck in Game 2 if Dame doesn't play in that game. Because going down 2-0, they are going back home, but going back down 2-0 early and then having Dame come back to have to win 4 of the next 5 games, it's going to be very, very tough. So, yeah, Indiana did a great job Game 1, and the Bucks, they need help. Giannis needs help desperately. Next, we're going to the Western Conference. We had Clippers, Nuggets Game 1. This was by far the best game of the first round so far. Best Game 1 so far. I mean, this was just a cinema of a game, The Nuggets ended up winning this one by 2 in overtime. The Clippers came out hot in the first. James Harden had 15 points in the first quarter. The Nuggets were a little bit slow to start. But then second quarter is where Denver kind of flipped the script. They started, giving a lot of effort on the defensive end. The Clippers offense went slow. The Nuggets started forcing turnovers, getting rebounds and all that stuff to keep it close. And that continued for basically the rest of the game. Get to the fourth quarter. Jamal Murray hits a couple big shots. Aaron Gordon's getting the free throw line. Russell Westbrook hit a big 3-pointer in this one. But then also try to take the game-winning shot that you had to pass back to Jokic for that one. I feel like you had to pass it back to Jokic. Harden hit a big layup. We go to overtime. And yeah, it goes back and forth, a little back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Aaron Gordon hit a couple shots. Jamal Murray hit a shot. Christian Brown hit a huge 3-pointer in that overtime. James Harden had 7 points in the OT. And then Russell Westbrook gets a deflection of a Harden to seal the game. After the play before, he went early. Instead of running clock, he got to try to get a layup and got to the rim, got fouled, only made 1 out of 2. So a very polarizing Russell Westbrook game. But the Nuggets ended up winning thanks to him, I guess. He had 15, 8 off the bench, 4 offensive rebounds. He was huge in this game in terms of energy, grabbing offensive rebounds, got the big deflection, hit the big 3-pointer. Just insane. Russell Westbrook, I mean, the tweet went viral where someone said he's literally like the random item box in Mario Kart where you're just driving, you never know what you're going to get. This was the pinnacle of Russell Westbrook right here, where he goes from making the game-winning 3 to putting the ball in his own hands and taking the game-winning shot, which he didn't even get a shot off, Two, having a play where instead of running clock for the Nuggets, which would have been the better play, he tried to force a layup and got fouled, only made one or two. Two, getting the game-winning deflection off of James Harden to seal the game. So just the polarizing of Russell Westbrook. He's going to be big in this series. I feel like, and you already saw it in game one. For the Nuggets, Jokic gave you 29, 9, and 12. Had a lot of plays where, he missed, I think he missed two free throws late in this game. Had a technical foul. Wasn't as sharp as Jokic is, but he did his thing. Aaron Gordon was big in this game as well, 25 and 8, 8 for 14 from the field. He was really just feeding off of Jokic, and being really aggressive as well, like being aggressive going one-on-one, getting to the rim. Jamal Murray, you saw remnants of playoff Jamal, 21, 9, and 7. Hit a couple shots when it mattered most. It wasn't the most efficient game for him, only 7 for 20, but, hit some shots when it mattered most. Christian Brown was out there, give you 11 points. And, MPJ only plays 26 minutes in this game. He hit the first shot of the game and didn't do anything really after that. So not having MPJ out there really sucked. It really messed up the spacing. They won anyway, but the spacing of Michael Porter Jr. is going to be desperately needed later in this series, and the Nuggets, couldn't have that today. For the Clippers, Harden gave you 32, 6, and 11. He was awesome today. Kawhi gave you 22. He had moments. Zubac gave you 21 and 13. Norm Powell, double digits. Chris Dunn, double figures. For the Clippers in this game, I like how they started it with Zubac and Harden and the pick and roll and all that stuff. And the defense was really solid. But honestly, I did not really love the fourth quarter and overtime offense. I feel like the offense turned into, all right, Harden, your turn ISO, all right, Kawhi, your turn ISO. It was just more like a Harden and Kawhi going back and forth. All right, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. And it wasn't the best. Like Harden hit some shots, Kawhi hit some shots, but more Kawhi. Kawhi just wasn't really on him. Kawhi has 7 turnovers in this game. Um, just didn't really look like the as sharp Kawhi Leonard that we saw in the regular season. I assume that's going to change, and he's going to have some big games in the series, obviously, because it's Kawhi Leonard. But just wasn't really the greatest offense. They got away from the Harden Zubac pick and roll. Bob Myers said that in the broadcast like 54 times, but it was true. Like the Harden Zubac pick and roll was really working in the first half, and it was forcing people to move, forcing Jokic to play defense at that point, and it just wasn't really. They weren't really going to it. Norman Powell did not really have a great game either. He had 12 points, he hit a couple threes, but I didn't really feel the impact that Norman Powell made in this game. Chris Dunn was really good defensively. I mean, that's what he's out there to do. He had a couple threes early, but late he took a lot of threes that I probably didn't really have to take. And then the benches, surprisingly, the bench for the Nuggets outplayed the bench of the Clippers. Derrick Jones had 4 points. Nick Batum had 3 threes, but besides that, Bogdanovich over 3. Ben Simmons at 13 minutes didn't not really do much either. And then for the Nuggets, you gave Westbrook with 15. Payne Watson gave you 6. Jalen Pickett hit a shot in 5 minutes, whatever. But the Clippers, what the Clippers are supposed to have on the Nuggets in the series was the reserves and the bench players and the other pieces that came to play. For the Clippers, they just didn't really have that. I mean, Norm Powell again did not have a great game. The bench did not really provide much at all. Zubac didn't not really get a lot of chances late in this game. Again, they kind of diverted into Harden and Kawhi going one-on-one, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it was just like, it didn't really work well. Especially, I mean, if Kawhi was on fire and Kawhi had like 30, that's okay. James Harden had 32, I didn't mind that. But just, I don't know, it just did not really look the greatest. Yeah, for the Nuggets, really, it was just their effort and intensity picked up in this game. Like, about middle of the second quarter, they started trying to force turnovers, starting to be, energy, aggressive. Payne Watson, Christian Brown, Jamal Murray all really brought a lot of energy. Aaron Gordon was really in there, in the paint, in the trenches, trying to get the rebounds and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, they had 12 offensive rebounds in this game. Aaron Gordon had 5, Westbrook had 4. Those two on the offensive rebounding battle was amazing. Christian Brown getting out in transition and running and getting easy shots as well. And yeah, I mean, this already showed for one game, this is going to be an amazing series. I mean, I said in my preview, like, this probably is going to be the best in terms of a chess match of a series. This is what it's going to be. And that was only game 1. We still have a couple more games left to go. I hope it goes 7 because this is going to be such a amazing, intense series, and I really hope it keeps living up to it, because this is going to be an amazing series. But yeah, the Nuggets did a great job of getting game 1 because Clippers came out early with a punch, but the Nuggets, showed that championship DNA that they have. They responded. They found a way to win. They hit big shots. They had other role players step up and do big things. And yeah, it's going to be a really good series. With the Clippers, I like to see more, movement in the offense. More Harden, Zubac pick and roll because Zubac was dominating down low in the paint. And Kawhi needs to be better, I think, in the fourth quarter of these ones. But for the Nuggets, I hope that they need some MPJ, MPJ to do things in this one. And if Jamal Murray hits a couple more shots, I think they'll be good, but also they have some lapses sometimes defensively and all that stuff. But yeah, this is going to be an amazing chess match of a series, and I cannot wait for game two. Next, Knicks Pistons, game one. The Knicks end up getting this W 123 to 112 because they have a 21-0 run in the fourth quarter. Outscored Detroit 40 to 21 in the fourth, and ended up getting the W. Yeah, this was like a game of runs. I felt like the Knicks came out hot to start, and the Pistons would respond. I feel like every time someone would have a run, the other team would respond right away in another 2 minutes. Like this was a very back and forth, back and forth, back and forth matchup. Like early in the third, the Knicks were kind of not running away with it, but they kind of Knicks were comfortable. Knicks had a little bit of a comfortable lead. Cat hit some shots. Brunson started to get going. It was all that, and then Detroit that end of the third quarter just made it a game. I mean, Dennis Schroeder hit some shots. Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley hit a couple shots, and it was like, okay, here come the Pistons. And then we get to the fourth quarter, and then the Knicks just shell shock them. I mean, the Knicks, the intensity level picked up 10 times in that fourth quarter. The physicality, the defense for the Knicks, really, truly, that was the best defense I've seen the Knicks play in a little while. And then Detroit just didn't really know what to do. Detroit tried, but Detroit just couldn't really get good shots off. Turnovers, which is what has been a thing for them all year. And then the Knicks just their shot making. Jalen Brunson late in this game hit some big shots. Cameron Payne in the fourth quarter was huge in terms of bringing energy off the bench and hitting shots and doing all that stuff. And the Knicks end up getting the W in this one. Jalen Brunson finishes with 34 and 8 assists. Definitely was banged up. I mean, was on the ground, got hit a lot. You know, definitely isn't 100%, but he had big shots when it mattered the most. OG in the first half, especially 23 and 7, 5 steals, 2 blocks. Amazing defensively on Cade Cunningham, trying to make it as hard as possible for him. And then offensively, in the first half at least, he was just on fire. Being someone that can, you know, hit some shots, get to the basket, and be aggressive. Cat had a really big second half, 23, 11, and 5, 4 steals and 2 blocks, shot 10 for 14 from the field. Only took 3 threes. He was being really, in the mid range, getting to the basket, which is what he's going to need to do in this series. And then, yeah, you got Josh Hart give you 13, 7, and 6. And then Campaign off the bench, 14 points off the bench. He had 11 in the fourth quarter. He was a plus 17 in the fourth quarter, 4 for 5, hit 2 threes. And, yeah, he was amazing in this game. But the Knicks really, showed what they can be defensively. Again, being a physical and aggressive and intense. That's the most I've seen them look like that in a very long time. And then when Jalen Brunson can take him home, but then also, even when Jalen Brunson is 100%, they have OG Anunoby has all the confidence in the world right now, where he can score and make things happen. Anthony Towns, not being afraid to get to the basket and score. Josh Hart's always going to make the winning plays. Didn't really get a whole lot from Mikal Bridges in this game in terms of offense, only 8 points. Only played 28 minutes. He was a minus 16 in this game. And then you saw Mitchell Robinson has some big moments, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks. Had a big offensive rebound put back in this one. So yeah, you saw a lot of Towns and Mitchell Robinson minutes in this one because the Pistons have a big team. But yeah, the Knicks, I like the physicality and the intensity. I mean, all year we said like this team, I've said at least this Knicks team doesn't really have the same fight and the same grittiness as the past Knicks teams have. And going up against a team in the Pistons that are gritty and are tough, that's what they're built on. The Knicks are going to have to really come out with that. And the Knicks came with that in the fourth quarter. But for the Pistons, it was a lot of just inexperience. You saw, again, a lot of these guys, it's their first playoff series, so they don't really know how to react, especially in an environment like Madison Square Garden with the Knicks, passionate Knicks fans in the building. That fourth quarter just looked like they were shell shocked. They didn't really know what to do. The run kept happening, and the bridge was collapsing. They just didn't know how to fix it. In this one. But something I said in my preview of this series, I said the vets for the Pistons are going to have to be huge, and they did. Tobias Harris gave you 25 in this game. Tobias Harris, 8 for 13, 4 for 5 from 3. I was saying Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dennis Schroeder, those guys are going to have to be huge in this series because with a young nucleus of a team, all the attention is going to go to Cade Cunningham, and they're going to try to do everything they can to get the ball out of his hands. Those vets that have been here before are going to need to really alleviate a lot of pressure, and they did. I mean, Tobias gave you 25. Tim Hardaway Jr. gave you 19. Dennis Schroeder had 8 points off the bench. Even though the stat line doesn't look great, I feel like he had a really good game, too. Malik Beasley gave you 20, hit 6 threes off the bench. So, yeah, the veterans really came to play in this one, Cade had a slow start, but finished with 21, 6, and 12. Shot 8 for 21. OG, that's going to be a battle there. Jalen Duren gave you 7 and 6. Wasn't a great game from Jalen Duren. I would like to see him be a little bit more physical in this one. Only played 24 minutes, and Asar give you 10 and 6. Had 5 fouls, 3 turnovers. I'd like to see him be a little more disciplined. But again, it's a second-year player in his first first playoff game. Yeah, Ron Holland 6 minutes didn't really do much. Isaiah Stewart 18 minutes, give you 2 and 5. He had 5 fouls in this game as well. But yeah, Detroit, I mean, they tried. I mean, they had moments in this game where, they had big runs, showed confidence. The veterans really carried a lot for them. All they're going to really need now is the young players to kind of take a little bit of a step. I'm not saying all of them need to be on their 100% A game, even though they probably should be. But if Asar just plays a little bit better, Jalen Duren just plays a little bit better in this one, I feel like they win this game. And the fourth quarter just showed the difference in experience, really. The Pistons, the one thing they're just not gonna have the experience. Their star players just don't have the experience yet, and they're gonna really need to use this to learn. And yeah, I think this is gonna be a very interesting series. I like some of the things I saw on both sides. Detroit definitely has a chance in this one. I mean, Detroit has some moments where they started to really, hit shots, and if Tobias Harris and Tim Hardaway and Malik Beasley, if those guys can continue to hit shots like they did in Game One, the Pistons are gonna be in a great spot. They're definitely gonna need those guys to really help. Cade, I'm not really worried about Cade Cunningham, even though he didn't have a great shooting night. I don't expect Cade Cunningham to have a super efficient series in this one because first playoff series, he's getting all the attention in the world. He is the kind of off the engine of this offense. He's got OJ Anunoby, an all-defensive player on him. Don't expect Cade Cunningham to come out and shoot 65% from the field. Like, that's just not what it is. He's going to have turnovers. He's going to miss some shots. But I like that he still kind of was aggressive, still got to the rim. Definitely was talking to the refs a lot. The physicality difference in the playoffs really showed in this game as well, and they're gonna have to get adjusted to that. But I think the series is gonna be really, really good, man. Game one was honestly a lot more exciting than I thought it was gonna be. But the Knicks, of course, that big fourth quarter just really took them over the edge. But I'm very excited to see how the Pistons come back, and how they respond to this in game two. Final game of Saturday night we had was Lakers Timberwolves over in the West, and the Timberwolves are the only road team. Oh no, sorry, not the only road team. But they were the first upset of game one, where Minnesota ends up going into LA and stopping them 117-95. The first quarter started off. I thought this was gonna be a big Laker game. Luka came out with 16 in the first quarter, hit a couple threes, and I was like, okay, here are the Lakers. And then from the second quarter on, Minnesota just flipped the switch. Minnesota took advantage of the Lakers defense. The Lakers defense was not great at all in this game. They started by Minnesota getting to the rim, getting easy ones, and the Lakers tried to kind of overcorrect, I feel like, trying to guard the rim, that it just led to the threes. And Minnesota, I mean, they shot 21 or 42 from three. They had a hot shooting night. You got to tip your cap to them on that front. But yeah, I mean, Anthony Edwards really dominate and control this game. I really loved how Ant played in this game, even though he didn't have the craziest scoring night, only 22 points, 8 for 22. Didn't have a crazy 37, 38 point efficient game, whatever. But watching him on the court, the poise of Anthony Edwards and the maturity of Anthony Edwards really showed. I mean, I felt like he knew when to score, when to pass, where his teammates were. He just knew when to push the right buttons and when to do the right things in this game. And it really helped out a whole lot for especially his teammates. I mean, Jaden McDaniels, I love what Jaden McDaniels did in this game as well. 25, 9, 11 for 13. Like, he was just getting to the basket at will, hitting shots when it mattered. There's a play in the fourth quarter where their Lakers got in his zone, and Ant gave it to McDaniels. McDaniels gave it back to Ant. Ant was like, no, McDaniel, here, like, it's you. And McDaniels got an easy jumper because Ant was just kind of empowering him, like, hey, no, you're open, you're hot, score. And that's just the steps you want to see your young superstar take. Naz Reid also was amazing, 23 points, 6 threes off the bench. He was awesome. Julius Randle had a decent game as well. He did have 7 turnovers, but 16, 5, and 5, I feel like the end of the game, the first quarter, he started off very chaotic with turnovers and all that stuff. But once it got to the second half, once the Timberwolves started rolling, he really found a rhythm in this one, getting to the rim, hitting threes, and doing his thing. Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert was solid. DiVincenzo hit a couple big shots. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was really solid defensively, even though he only shot 2 for 9. And yeah, Minnesota they had a really high 3-point shooting night. And they won the rebounding battle, the assist battle, 29-15. 9 assists for Ant, 5 assists for Randall. DiVincenzo had 4 assists. Everybody besides Rudy Gobert that played actual minutes had double-digit assists. Just felt like the ball was popping, the ball was moving everywhere. They were getting the Lakers in a lot of bad situations defensively, and they're knocking down a lot of threes because of it. You can't expect Minnesota to hit 21 threes in every game for the rest of the series, but hopefully what you can expect is Anthony Edwards to continue to play like he did. We know Anthony Edwards is going to have a big game. He's going to have a 35-point game at some point in this series, and that's going to really help out a lot. Hopefully we can expect Jaden McDaniels to keep the same level of intensity and aggression in this series, because like kind of like I said in my preview when I talk about the Lakers and when you have LeBron, Luca, and Austin Reeves is going to be big because he's going to get that third defender. That's kind of what Jaden McDaniels is going to have to be. Ant's going to do his thing. Randall's going to have the ball a lot, but Jaden McDaniels can be a really X factor because he's going to get the third defender. If McDaniels can continue to attack and expose the Lakers the way he did in Game One, that's going to be such a huge relief, especially when Randall isn't having his greatest night, especially on a night where maybe DiVincenzo, Nikhil, and Nasri don't hit a lot of shots, or Mike Conley can't really play a whole lot, doesn't really do a lot of things. Like McDaniel is going to help alleviate a lot of pressure for the Timberwolves in this series, and if he could continue to do that, that'd be great. The defense also was really solid for Minnesota. The physicality they played with, forcing the Lakers into a lot of just shots, of forcing guys like Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, all of them to shoot the three ball. And yeah, Minnesota had this was an amazing game, great as a game one as you can have. Came out early, got one on the road, which we were supposed to do as the lower seed, just getting one on the road early. Especially it was game one. So now even if do lose game two, we're still going to Minnesota with at least one win. But yeah, and then on the Lakers side, Luka gave you 37, 7 and 8. 37, 8 and only one assist in this one. LeBron didn't have the greatest of games. Austin Reeves only shot 5 for 13. The role players didn't really provide much of anything at all in this one. I mean, Rui Hachimura 9 points. Jackson Hayes had 1 point in 8 minutes. Finney Smith was 1 for 3. Gabe Vincent 1 for 3. Vanderbilt had 2 points in 13 minutes. So yeah, it was a really a tough one for the Lakers. A tough one. They did not shoot well from the field or from three. Got out rebounded. The defense did not look great at all, really, especially on the interior. Minnesota really was just exposing them and kind of using the size to their advantage on them. The switching was not, the kind of rotations weren't great for the Lakers. And then offensively wasn't really that great either. I felt like it was a lot of Luka LeBron going, one-on-one and trying to, just jack up shots, a lot of jump shots in this game. The Lakers couldn't really get to the basket and try to, collapse the defense a lot. But yeah, the defense is going to have to be kind of one to be better. Also the intensity. I mean, Gigi Redick said it too. Like we played like regular season intensity in the first kind of half of the game, where Minnesota came out and wanted it more. It just felt like the Lakers didn't really have the intensity. There's a lot of kind of just like, not really. They weren't really fully ready yet. And that usually does happen with LeBron teams. LeBron teams usually lose game one. If you watched and know what LeBron James does, which I've watched. Usually they come out game one is more of a feel out game. But Minnesota came out with a big punch in the first game. I expect the Lakers to come back in game two completely different. I mean, I'm not doubting this Laker team with Luka, LeBron, JJ Redick. I expect the Lakers to come out in game two and maybe do something similar to what Minnesota did in game one, where they come out and just punch them early. Now it's really just gonna have to depend on how Minnesota responds to that punch because I'm fully expecting it. I think they should be fully expecting it too. So they should come out with that intensity early. I think this is going to be a great series, even though game one was a blowout, I guess. Honestly, it has me more excited for the series because I'm more excited to see how the Lakers respond to this punch and how the Timberwolves respond to the counter punch and all that stuff. But yeah, Lakers just need to hit more shots. The role players need to be a whole lot better. They can't just rely on LeBron and Luka to carry them for the entirety of the series like they usually do. And the defense just needs to be a whole lot better. They need more intensity, more physicality. The defense needs to be better. And for Minnesota, they're going to have to not get comfortable, keep that same aggression and intensity, and hope that the role players can continue to have this level of confidence to going on for the rest of the series. But I'm very excited to see how game two looks. Transition over to yesterday's games. We got it started with Thunder Grizzlies in game one, and we can kind of get through this kind of quickly. Thunder win by 51 points. It was an onslaught. I mean, the first quarter was decent. Grizzlies came out with some energy. The Thunder were a little bit, sloppy or, kind of, rushy in the first quarter. The end of the first quarter off well. Once it got to the second quarter, OKC just hit the ground running and never looked back at all. I mean, the defense, honestly, was just insane. I mean, this team had the best defense in the NBA for the entirety of the regular season, and they showed. I mean, just forcing turnovers left and right. Memphis had 24 turnovers in this game, just forcing turnovers left and right, getting the extra possessions left and right, running down transition. Memphis just could not get back in transition. OKC running in transition, getting easy dunks, hitting layups. The role players, the other Jalen Williams, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, those guys were just awesome. In this case, and Wallace as well. Those guys were just awesome in this game. All of them came in and had a big contribution. coming off the bench. Aaron Wiggins hitting threes, Joe hitting threes, Jalen Williams hit a three, getting rebounds. Keyshawn Wallace playing defense and getting out transition and running. J Dub had a really big game as well. Isaiah Hartenstein was awesome in this game as well. Isaiah Hartenstein was just like you couldn't. Memphis just didn't have an answer. I mean, that little floater that he had was just dominant. Be able to play with the pick and roll with him and Shea was awesome as well. Chet got it going in the second half. Lou Dort hit a couple big threes. Shea probably has worst game of the season in this one, and OKC still won by 51 points. I mean, it was just an absolute onslaught of the game for OKC. And the scary thing about this is I feel like OKC didn't really have their best offensive game. Probably had their best defensive game and really just hit the ground running. But offensively wasn't super amazing. I mean, they shot 50% of the field, 17 threes, yeah. But again, Shea 4 for 13, 1 for 7 from 3. Jado was good. He didn't really hit threes though. Chet Holmgren had a bad start to this game. You know, the role players. I mean, Isaiah Joe only hit 2 threes. Case Wallace only hit 1 shot. Like it didn't feel like this was OKC's craziest offensive night, and yet they still dominated because of their defense. Alex Caruso as well. I forgot to mention Alex Caruso if I didn't say him already. He was really good, even though he didn't take a shot. Rebounding and defense, and also his just high IQ was out there. But like OKC just ran them out the gym. I mean, it felt like everything was clicking for them. Everything was working. The defense was just on another level and really just frustrating and just like harassing Memphis every time down. And again, we have a game where Shea shoots 4 for 13. Shea shot 30% from the field and had 15 points. And he was your 4th leading scorer. And you still win by this amount in this dominant of a fashion. That's scary. That's scary because Shea's not gonna have a game like he's gonna come out next game and like he's not gonna have a game like this for the rest of the series. I can dang near guarantee that. So like this is just a dominant performance, and for Memphis, Jaren Jackson was just felt like a factor, like not a factor. 2 for 13, 4 points, 3 rebounds. He was just wasn't Dennis. He was just nothing. Desmond Bane minus a negative 51 in this one. Ja tried a little bit. Zach Edey just didn't really do anything, look like anything on the court. OKC was just exposing Zach Edey, putting him in different actions. Every time he got the ball, I felt like OKC was just harassing him. Shea blocked him early in this game. Scottie Pippen Jr. was not a factor in this game at all. 5 fouls, was 1 for 9. The bench didn't really do much. I mean, Lauren Bagley gave you 17 points. It was 8 for 8, I guess. But Memphis just didn't have an answer for anything. They shot 6 for 34 from 3, 24 turnovers. Only scored 80 points. I think they had 36 points at halftime. It was bad. It was really bad. And yeah, I mean, I don't expect Memphis to lose by 40 in every game in this series, but really just the difference in team, the difference in role players, and all that stuff was really there. I mean, again, I expect Memphis to come back better, and I expect Memphis can win a game in this series. I mean, they have the firepower, Ja, Jaren, and Desmond Bane, but they're going to need Jaren and Desmond Bane to be good and better. They cannot have games they combine to shoot 5 for 26 and 1 for 10 from 3. That's unacceptable for those two guys. I mean, they're also going to need the role players to really do something in this series. I mean, the role players did not really provide much at all, unless Marvin Bagley's going to continue to be a guy in this series. But yeah, Memphis couldn't really do anything, and OKC just wiped the floor with them. There's not really much more to say. Next, we have Boston Orlando. Game 1, Boston ends up winning this game 103-86 to go up 1-0. The first half was really sloppy, I feel like, on both ends, especially in the first quarter. Second quarter, though, Orlando came out with a good second quarter. I mean, Paolo had 12, Franz had 8, KCP had a couple threes, Caleb Houston was providing a lot of energy, and it was only a 1-point game at halftime. Boston in the first half did not shoot super well. Tatum and Brown combined to shoot 6 for 17. Drew didn't really do much. Payne Pritchard was hooping. Porzingis didn't really do anything at all, wasn't a factor, and it was like, oh shoot, can this be interesting? Third quarter happens, and that's when Boston wakes up and actually starts playing. I felt like Drew Holiday was huge in that third quarter. He hit 3 threes, playing great defensively. Jaylen Brown started getting some things going. Derek White hit some more shots, and then Orlando just could not do anything. Orlando shot 6 for 20 in the third quarter. Franz did not really do anything in the second half. The role players could not really provide much at all. It really just felt like Paolo against everybody in the second half, and Boston cruises and ends up winning. Derek White drops 30, hits 7 threes, just doing Derek White things. Drew Holiday was good. Payne Pritchard off the bench was amazing, 19 points and hit 4 3-pointers. Tatum tough shooting. I mean, the Jays did not really have great nights. I mean, they combined. I mean, Tatum gave you 17. He did have 14 rebounds, but only shot 8 for 22, 1 for 8 from three. Jaylen Brown, 16. He was 0 for 2 from three. Porzingis didn't really do much either. I mean, he had 5 points and was 1 for 8. So those three didn't really provide much at all. But again, Boston's championship DNA and their role players: Derek White, Drew Holiday, Payne Pritchard, which is all three of them were the best three. I mean, quarter plus minus, those three were the best three of the best players on the court for the Boston Celtics. I mean, Derek White, just his ability to knock down threes, his defense, and his ability to get to the rim. Drew Holiday just hitting threes and making the winning plays, especially on the defensive end, and then Payne Pritchard coming in and providing an offensive spark when the two Jays and Porzingis weren't really on their best shooting nights. And yeah, just that difference was big. And then for Orlando, Paolo was amazing. 36, 11, 14 for 27. He hit 4 threes. You couldn't really ask much more from Paolo in this game. But Franz, unfortunately, the second half, he had just, 8 points. KCP hit a couple threes in the second. That's really much. Corey Joseph in 26 minutes had 5 fouls and 2 assists. That's all he did out there. Jonathan Isaac, I like the Jonathan Isaac minutes. Jonathan Isaac was really good defensively when they went with that small ball lineup in the end of the second quarter, where Isaac was at the 5 and he was switching from Porzingis to getting to the basket and guarding, other, like, protecting the rim. He was really nice. Caleb Houston had some moments where he provided a little bit, but besides that, it just wasn't really much. I mean, it was really felt like Paolo, especially in the second half. It just felt like Paolo was out there by himself, kind of like what I said with Giannis. So it was a 1-on-5, where it's just Paolo had to do everything because no one else could really step up and provide anything at all for Orlando. We already know what the 3-point shooting difference was. The tough thing about this game was Boston only hit 6 more threes than Orlando in this one. I mean, it was 16-10 in this one. Boston did not really have their best. Most of them was Derek White. It was Derek White, Holiday, and Pritchard. Besides those three, the rest of the team only hit 2 threes. That was Tatum and Horford. Both hit one. But yeah, so this probably was as great as of a 3-point shooting game as you can get. I mean, Paolo hit 4, KCP hit 2, Franz hit 1, Isaac hit 1, Black hit 1, Houston hit 1. This probably was the best in terms of 3-point shooting differential and 3-point shooting margin. This is probably as good as it could get potentially for Orlando, and they could not capitalize on it because the rest of the role players just could not really provide much. So Orlando, obviously, they're going to need their others to do something. KCP is going to have to really hit some shots. Franz cannot have a second half like he had, where he just looked like Boston really locked in on him and forced, him to take a lot of tough shots. He missed a lot of easy shots as well. And then, yeah, everybody else was kind of like a no factor in this game at all. And Boston really took advantage despite their stars not really having big games. Like you can expect Tatum and Brown aren't really going to have those bad of nights. Porzingis probably is not going to have those bad of nights again in this series. So I feel like if there's any game that you could win, it probably would be this game where Boston did not really shoot the ball super crazy from 3. Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis were not really factors. You got 36 on Paolo. The 3-point margin was close. Like, it just felt like this was the game for Orlando, and they could not really capitalize on it. But that's also why Boston is amazing in this one. So, yeah, Orlando, they just need more from their others, man. Next, we're going Miami, Cleveland, game 1. Cleveland ends up winning 121-100. The score looked like how it did, but this was not as lopsided as game as you think. Miami stuck around for a lot of the game. Miami stuck around for a lot of it. Cleveland never had that big avalanche run that they usually have. Where it's like they go on a crazy run, and that's kind of where the game ends. They didn't really have that till the fourth quarter. For the first 3 quarters, Donovan Mitchell was doing a lot. Darius Garland was hitting some shots. Max Strus hit a couple shots. But it was just like, it just felt like the Cavs weren't playing perfectly. It felt like there was still something missing to the Cavs a little bit. Like, it was still kind of Donovan Mitchell doing a lot of different things. The role players weren't as amazing in this game. And for Miami, they're sticking around. I mean, Bam hit a couple shots. Hero hit some shots. Andrew Wiggins was decent. Davion Mitchell provided a lot in this game. The defense was solid, forcing a little bit of turnovers in this one. But the fourth quarter happened, and that's when Ty Jerome happened. Ty Jerome, 16 points in the fourth quarter, 3 for 3. He was amazing in this game, but in the fourth quarter especially, where he hit 3 threes. There were double. The Miami Heat had to double Ty Jerome and get the ball out of his hands. That's crazy to think about. But yeah, and then Garland also had a couple big shots to end this game. Merrill hit a big 3-pointer in this one. Miami just went cold, 1 for 6 and 3. Tyler Hero only had 2 points in the quarter. It was really Bam and Davion Mitchell did everything in that fourth quarter. They combined for 15 of the 21 points. Miami just ran out of offense, and they could not stop Ty Jerome, and that's how Cleveland ends up winning this game. Donovan Mitchell gives you 35 and 4 steals. Wasn't great 3-point shooting wise, but getting to the basket and putting pressure and getting to the free throw line was amazing. Garland gave you 27 and 5 assists. It was very smooth. 10 for 17. He had 5 threes. He had a lot of big shots when it mattered. Ty Jerome, 28 points off the bench and 5 threes. Just ridiculous. Jared Allen was decent with 12 and 11. Evan Mobley didn't have the greatest game offensively. Only 9 points on 4 for 10 shooting. Max Strus hit a couple of big 3-pointers. The bench didn't really provide much. DeAndre Hunter did not score in 16 minutes. Isaiah Crowell played a lot of minutes. Took a lot of shots. Can't really happen. I would like to see more Dean Wade minutes and Isaiah Crowell minutes. But hey, whatever. But the Cavs ended up getting the win thanks to Ty Jerome. I just feel like the Cavs need to be more sharp. Miami stuck around a lot longer than they should. I feel like every time Cleveland was going to run away with it and Cleveland was going to be like, okay, here it comes, Miami would have a little run to keep it like an 8-point game. So Cleveland, I feel like, really had to be more sharp. I feel like they needed more from guys like Mobley and Hunter. I think those two need to do a lot more in these games, because you can't expect Ty Jerome to average 28 points per game for the entirety of the series. If he does, then he does. But there need others to really step up and do a little bit more. We know how Donovan Mitchell's going to do. Darius Garland looked really comfortable. They need their others to do a little bit more. For Miami, Tyler Hero needs to be better. I feel like in the late game, Tyler Hero didn't really get a lot of shots off late in the game, and really the offense was ran more about Bam, which I like. But I feel like Hero needs to do a little bit more. Kel'el Ware wasn't really a factor in this game a lot at all. 19 minutes, he was a minus 12. And then besides Davion Mitchell, the bench, Hayward hit, Highsmith tried. Doug Robinson hit a couple shots, but besides that, just wasn't really much for Miami. But the Heat, I feel like this was a game that they really could have maybe not won, but capitalized on and made it a lot closer. They did make it close, but that fourth quarter, man, Ty Jerome just really lit them up. And so Miami, I feel like you're going to need a little bit more offensively. A little bit more offensively. The rebounding battle, they're going to have to do better at too. Jared Allen had 6 offensive rebounds. Evan Mobley had 3 offensive rebounds. I know they run 2 bigs, but I feel like Miami could do better on the rebounding end of the ball. And yeah, the 3-point shot was decent. Both teams shot the same percentage from 3. So, it's tough for Miami not to be able to capitalize on a game where you hit the same amount of threes as them, percentage-wise. You get a bad game from Mobley. The bench didn't provide much at all, but Ty Jerome, man. Ty Jerome was awesome. And Cleveland ends up winning this game. And yeah, Miami, they made it closer, but it's just Miami. Cleveland just had more firepower at the end of the day. In the final matchup, we're talking about Warriors-Rockets game 1. The Warriors go on the road and beat Houston in game 1, 95-85. This is a very interesting game. The first quarter was very sloppy on both ends. A lot of rebounds, turnovers, and all that stuff. Both teams couldn't really get things going. Second quarter is where the Warriors start to strike. Warriors outscore Houston 29-13 in the second quarter. Steph gives you 10. Jimmy gives you 7. The Rockets shoot very bad, 6 for 18 in the second quarter. And the Warriors, and then they come out in the third quarter. Steph hits a shot. Jimmy hits some shots, and it's like, oh shoot, here we go. The Warriors are gonna run away with this. But then the Rockets late in that third quarter, when they had Steven Adams out there, Steven Adams, Jabari Smith, Şengün, Amen, those guys really, and Tari Eason, those guys just started to, really put in work. They started to force turnovers. They started getting to the free throw line. The offensive rebounds, they had 10 offensive rebounds in the third quarter alone. And the Rockets come back in this one. The fourth quarter is very close. You got a lot of more Steven Adams being a monster. Jabari Smith hit a big shot. Amen Thompson started to get it going a little bit more. Şengün hit a big shot. Fred VanVleet and Dillon Brooks both hit some threes. But Steph Curry and Jimmy, Steph hit 2 threes in that fourth quarter that were just ridiculous. And then Jimmy Butler as well, putting the finishing touches. The defense really was the factor for the Warriors too. That fourth quarter defense for the Warriors was amazing. They started to, really lock in on the offensive rebounds as well. Had, I think, 3 big offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter that limited some second chance opportunities for Houston. Moses Moody also was a hero. He had a big 3-pointer and a mid-range in that fourth quarter. They started getting transition and run. Thanks to them being better rebounding in the fourth quarter, and really showed why they're a championship DNA that they have. And they end up winning this game. Steph gives you 31, hit 5 threes. He was ridiculous. Jimmy showing why he's there. 25, 7, and 6 with 5 steals on 10 for 19 shooting. Didn't get to the free throw line a lot, but he was a lot more aggressive in terms of getting to the basket. In the mid-range, he was hitting and doing all that. Brandon Majewski had a decent game, 14, 8, and 5. Moses Moody hit a couple big shots in this one. And yeah, they only had 6 offensive rebounds compared to 22 by the Rockets, but those 6 offensive rebounds are very big late in the game. And again, the defense in that fourth quarter really just stepped up a whole lot. when they know they're undersized. They do have a lot of bad turnovers, but they make up for it when you have Steph and Jimmy being able to close out the game. Two guys in the fourth quarter that can give the ball to you feel comfortable with. Also getting help again from Podziemski, Moody, Gary Payton even had some moments in this game that was really nice, and being able to do that. And then Draymond with great defense in the fourth quarter. But the Rockets, as well, more I want to talk about. Um, the Rockets, it was a very interesting game for the Rockets. Very interesting game. The rebounding, I mean, I had 22 offensive rebounds in this game. Steven Adams was an absolute demon on the offensive rebounding. They forced turnovers a lot, even though they lost the turnover battle. They forced 14 turnovers. They got some decent help from the role players, but the offense looked very clunky. It was a very clunky looking offense out there on the court. They did try a lot more bigger lineups. I mean, they had a lineup out there at some points where it was like Amen, Tari, Jabari, Şengün, and Steven Adams. So they're sacrificing a lot of spacing in this series to try to win on the rebounding glass, which is what worked for them. To try to win on the rebounds, to try to outsize the Warriors, out physical the Warriors. That's what they have to kind of sacrifice is for spacing. And we know this team is an amazing 3-point shooting team. But I mean, Jalen Green just did not have a good game at all. I mean, 3 for 15, over 5 from 3. He had more rebounds than points. It was really tough for him. Fred VanVleet had a really tough shooting night too, 4 for 19. I mean, when your guards combined to shoot 7 for 34 and 2 for 15 from 3, it only got one free throw made out of the two of them. It's just really tough to win, you know. So those two are going to have to be a lot better, obviously. And then Thompson didn't really have a great game either. I mean, the fourth quarter he started to get better, and he got 6 offensive rebounds, but 4 for 9 from the field, 0 for 4 from the free throw line. He had a lot of weird turnovers that I didn't really like. And yeah, so man, I feel like he needs to be better. Dylan Brooks only hit 2 threes in this one. I like what the bench provided though. Jabari Smith, 11.6 rebounds. I feel like Jabari Smith probably needs to play a lot more in this one. The size he has, but also again having the spacing. He had a fadeaway jumper in this game. The rebounding he provides as well as defensively. I feel like Jabari Smith needs a lot more minutes in this series. And honestly, if the series goes like it goes, I wouldn't mind putting Jabari back in the starting lineup at some point. Again, that's only game 1. We got to see how game 2 and game 3 play and all that stuff. But I wouldn't mind putting Jabari Smith Jr. back in the starting lineup. I mean, he brings a lot more spacing to the team. He while still having the size to be able to get offensive rebounds and just helps you defensively. I just feel like at some point I wouldn't be surprised if Jabari Smith Jr. gets back into the starting lineup in this series. Tari Eason was really solid, bringing a lot of energy and when he plays. And then Steven Adams. Steven Adams probably is going to have to be a big factor in this series. I mean, he had 12 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds in this game, just being a presence in the paint. Just being a presence down there was awesome. Şengün had a really solid game, 26 and 9, 11 for 18 shooting. Again, the offense was kind of clunky, so he had to really kind of go one-on-one a lot more than maybe you'd like, but he still was solid. But yeah, the Rockets, I feel like their youth really showed in this game. I mean, had a lot of bad turnovers late in the game, missed a lot of free throws. 11 for 20 from the free throw line is just not going to cut it. You missed 9 free throws. It's just not going to cut it at all. They also only shot 20% from 3, which is fine that they were able to keep in the game, even though they were bad shooting, because, again, the offensive rebounds were just killers. But I just think their guards need to be better. I mean, VanVleet and Jalen Green need to be better. They need to be able to have big games, hit some big shots, even if they're not the most efficient games. They just need to provide a lot. I mean, Jalen Green, 7 points in this one. Jabari Smith, Dylan Brooks, they all scored more than him. Amen Thompson scored more than him. Like, you just can't have that. Fred VanVleet, 4 for 19, 2 for 13 from 3. I know he takes a lot of tough threes because he kind of has to, but he just needs to make more shots. I would like to see Dylan Brooks a little bit more involved in the offense as well. He only took 5 threes in this game. I feel like Dylan Brooks kind of needs to take more in this one because I feel like he provides a lot of the spacing for Houston. But yeah, I think this is going to be a very good series, a very interesting, a very gritty series, and game 1 was really good, even though the score at some points looked a little bit weird. I'm very excited for this series. I'm very excited to see how the Rockets respond in game 2, what the adjustments made are, and if the Warriors can continue to close out like they did in game 1. Yeah, that's the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stick around here for all of the playoff recaps that we have every day after playoff games, but mostly every day, hopefully every day. We're going to have recaps and talk about the games and all that stuff. So if you want to stick around and get all your playoff fix, stick around here on the channel. Once you have to hit the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it a whole lot. Once again, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so all support around the channel will be very much appreciated. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.